Yes, hello and welcome to A Celtic World, the YouTube channel and podcast that celebrates the fact that there are Celtic fans all over this great big planet. From Coatbridge to Coney Island, Prestwick to Prestatyn, wherever you happen to be watching from, you're part of A Celtic World. And look, there's only one other person with us here today, and it's David in Bangkok. What up, David?
Hey Gav, hi folks, how's things? Yeah, all good. Looking forward to the show, looking forward to the Europa League game a bit more than I was a couple of weeks ago before the blessed Martin uh, came back to save the day. So, yeah, hey well folks, cheers Kaiser.
Hail, hail indeed. And
Hail,
Paul
hail,
should be
hail, Monty.
joining us Thursday, regular Paul, but he's not with us just yet. He's obviously caught in rush hour traffic in Perth. If that's such a thing, I imagine it is. But no word from him yet, so he will be popping in. Like I say in the chat, please let us know if anyone's microphones need adjusting vis-a-vis each other's, and also that is true of when Paul comes in, because he'll be coming in without any sort of checks, which is what happens when you're late. All right, so what are we talking about today then, I hear you ask? Well, here is the thumbnail. Lords of the Danske. David, you're a man who appreciates a bit of a jeu de mots. Did that tickle your fancy when you saw it?
Yeah, I got the Lords of the Dance. I think was maybe the sort of river dance, etc. Actually, my uh, my sister-in-law was the Irish dancing champion. It was the year before Lord of the Dance came out. So I think the people that didn't do quite as well in the World Championships, they went on to the river dance, but the top people were well above that kind of dances.
Absolutely. And, Dansk or Danske, people in Belfast will see that word all over the place because they bought the Northern Bank, which was like one of the biggest banks in the north of Ireland. And so Danske Bank is all over the place. There's Kaiser joining in the fun. Danske, wherever you may be. Michael Flatley. Yeah, I saw Michael
Yep.
Flatley's. He was one of these characters that threw his hat in the ring for the presidency of Ireland recently. Everyone thinks they should be president suddenly.
Well, you say when he
And
put his hat, when he threw his hat in the ring, he used to be a professional boxer or a
okay,
boxer of some sort of level.
uh-huh.
Um,
Well, I don't know, but anyway, he has since obviously withdrawn and left it to some more maybe serious-minded people. Can we say? All right. So what are we going to talk about? Well, I'll give you a brief run through of what the plan for today is. We're going to talk a little bit about the post-Derby meltdown and how we feel about that. A little bit on the new manager search, and then we'll get into the Midjtlland stuff because the game is tonight. So all the information we're going to get in advance is in, I think, pretty much. It'll be interesting to hear people's thoughts on that. Please join in the chat then, in the live chat. Let us know your hopes and fears about this game coming up, and also, of course, what's the word on the street in Glasgow and the surroundings when it comes to this. Are you drinking deep on the Hun tears, David? Are you enjoying every moment? Or are you bored of it by now?
uh, Gav, you can never get bored of Hun's Tears. It's a vintage that you can drink it and never get drunk. Drink it and you could never get bored of it. It's absolutely magnificent. The banter years have been going for 20 odd years now, and I actually think the latest vintages are actually even tastier than previous ones. I mean, you can just go through them all. I mean, I think the game last weekend, they probably one of the worst football players. Never mind for Sevco, but one of the worst football players you've ever seen. Their right back was just horrifically bad, horrific, and it was
Mhm.
magnificent.
Well, Shawnee Boy, the host of the American show, North American show, he's enjoying it. He's replying to this one here. This guy, some Rangers profile. The game should be replayed. The time to stop accepting these decisions is right now. It happens every single big game against Celtic. Blah, blah, blah. And Shawnee Boy just replying with a, haha, love it.
Yeah.
And I thought this was quite interesting. This is from the Celtic Way. Celtic and Martin O'Neill have got no credit for Sunday. Media deflection towards heroic performances is all a PR exercise to hide the fact that Danny Rule's an exceptionally easy manager to set up against. 23 chances in this clip. They're lucky it wasn't a massacre. That's a very good point, isn't it? That shouldn't get lost. You know, we were all over them and created far more chances. And we could have scored a boatload of goals.
I mean, for all Butland, sort of let McGregor's goal shot go through his hands. I mean, he did have a brilliant game for them. McGregor hitting the bar, with young Osmond having a couple of great shots, etc. I mean, we could have won by 5 or 6. And I think if that first goal, the one that wasn't offside, if we are two goals up after 15, 20 minutes, they're down to 10 men, it would have been any score. But in some ways, it's the hope that kills them. So in many ways, getting it to extra time and then hammering them in extra time is in some ways even more pleasant. And it also meant that for some of us, we were able to have another 30 minutes in the pub.
Yeah. I'm a bit, well, I sort of vary between just being sick of listening to them gurning about it and also enjoying it, But most of their commentary is so disingenuous, they only deal with the issues that are convenient for their narrative, On the last show on Monday, Stephen and that, we discussed like all the issues, including the trustee issue, which we all thought, could have gone either way. He was quite lucky maybe to knock it a red. But we talked about all the other issues too, whether they were comfortable for us or not. I say all the other issues, but there are a few others that have since come to light. I don't know if you've been on top of these, David, on social media. This one here is this is where Balakwisha knocks the ball up and it gets palmed away in the penalty box. Were you aware of this incident during the game, or when you watched it?
I think when we were watching it, it looked a bit sort of dubious. But because I don't think it was replayed, it never went to VAR. It wasn't checked. I think, and also at that time, as you say, we had 23 shots on target. It was every 2 or 3 minutes something else was happening. But when you see that in slow motion, it's quite clear. And it makes you think that it's yet another one that if it had been the opposite way, it would have been one of those where you've seen it given. So no, that was a clear one. Well? Yeah, we were screaming for this one. I mean, that's as blatant as you can get. The other one was the what's his name? The guy that nearly broke Kenny's ankle. Cornelius. Yeah.
Is that his name?
I mean, that was Cornelius. Yeah. I mean, that one really could have damaged him. So overall, yeah. I mean, they're moaning because one. I mean, he was very lucky not to get red carded, and I think we all agree about that one. But when you look at the other stuff, they would have been 2-0 down by that point after the own goal, probably down to 10 men already because of Cornelius. So they just it's great. Again, it's the hope that kills them. They think that they're going to be in with a chance the next time they play us at Celtic Park, and again, Martin O'Neill, he'll have, well, assuming he's still there, but he'll have the team, or hopefully whatever manager we have in place at that time, will have them up for it. And up until January, they're not able to bring in any more players, and I mean, they're hopeless. I mean, if you look against the Hibs game last week, where Hibs missed the penalty, if Hibs don't miss that penalty, then they're in disarray even before before Rose had a full week.
Yeah. I think this guy puts it quite nicely. Don't know if you can see that, but his name is Alberto, and it's Uncle Albert, the famous Uncle Albert that we featured on the show not long ago from Only Fools and Horses. Are they still greeting? The truth is, if you're historically used to having most decisions go your way, any move towards neutrality is going to feel like persecution. The ref had a poor game, so it happens and has happened for decades. The only difference is that now it's affecting them equally. And I think really that's the thing, in the post-Crawford Allen era, the referees are still shit, VAR is shit, but it's equally shit for everyone and they can't cope with that.
Well, see, the thing is, I still don't think it is equally shit. I think when we talk about the honest mistakes, I mean, if you look at, the examples you've shown today and the ones that we talked about last week, I mean, we had the, the Trusty incident, but every other incident was in their favour. So I think what's happened is that VAR has meant that we have to, there's things that can't be ignored. But even then, the first year of VAR, they did their best to ignore a lot of stuff. There was a lot of things where they talked about, oh well, it's according to the rules of the law, it's a penalty. But if you look at the stuff that we should have had, and as John Coyle was saying, theirs was never a penalty, never. He's been fouled, pushed down. Defying the laws of gravity to try and not fall. There was no option there. He had scales behind him to clear it, etc. So So for me, it's not a level playing field. But as Alberto said, the fact that now they've been questioned on 1 or 2 out of 10, it's making them spew, and long may it last.
And even the decision they're screaming about would have been a potential sending off, which mightn't have affected the game as much as they think, compared to our goal that was ruled out for offside, possibly wasn't, penalty against us, possibly wasn't, far bigger decisions. Anyway, Monty is bringing us to order here. Can I just point out, guys, this is Thursday. The Huns game was on Sunday. Sport needs to get focused back on the board. Beating the Rangers is fine, but we have a lot of work to do. Well, indeed we do, and we can move on from that game. If that's all right with you.
Yeah, 100%. No, Monty's right. I mean, it's like I think this is something we've talked about on the podcast many times. That the Huns are not our benchmark. We beat the Huns on Sunday. Let's forget about it. Move on.
Yeah, the only reason we're talking about it is because the meltdown has continued apace.
Yeah, and it'll still be going on at Christmas.
Okay, all right. Yeah. So, what's our next topic of conversation? Oh yeah, the new manager search. There seems to be a growing feeling being expressed that the interim team, David, might be in charge until the end of the season at this rate. I don't know if you would go along with that feeling, but it would give us a greater range of choice in managers, and certainly some of the managers that have been mentioned as being of interest to Celtic are going to be freer by then, by the sounds of it. So a greater range of choice both within the list mentioned and maybe beyond. Do you think that's a likelihood?
I think it's possible. I don't think that Martin O'Neill and Sean Maloney could have had a much better start. A cup semi-final against the Huns, 4-0 against Falkirk at home. With all due respect, it's probably not the 2 toughest games. I think tonight will be a good sort of barometer of where we are, Kilmarnock. So I think you can't ask for any more than what they've given. Certainly, the players seem to have stood up. They're definitely much more intensity about the game that everyone kind of talks about. But I think the fact that he's brought on people like Osmond, he's brought Trusty back out from the cold. I'm feeling much more confident than I was like 10 days ago. But I think as Monty mentioned in one of his comments that this is not the time to forget the fact that the board really let us down, and so let's keep support the team and sack the board.
Of course, I mean all of the issues are still there: recruitment, communication, the corporate governance. All those major issues are very much still there.
definitely.
Although you hear talk of, a shake-up in the boardroom, but whether that leads to meaningful change is something we'll just have to see, and will be tested over time as transfer windows come and go, and we see how the club's being run. But let's talk about some of these people that are mentioned quickly. Now, Kjetil Knutsen from Bodo Glimt, he was the man that the bold Kaiser and myself were advocating for before Brendan came back. Here's a tweet from John Hughes here. He's pointing out that Kjetil Knutsen put out a statement describing Celtic, but with one massive caveat. They had to be ambitious. Does anyone not related to a board member believe we're ambitious? He must be the top choice, according to John Hughes.
Yeah.
I mean, he has worked absolute wonders with Bodo Glimt over the years.
No, for sure. And I think, these, every time you get a new manager, it's always a risk. But when you look at, his track record, you'd have to say it's a great opportunity. I'd be delighted, absolutely delighted with him. But there's a lot of people out there that I think you would be keen on. Certainly Knutsen, or however you pronounce it, would definitely be high up on the list for me. So going back to your question about whether O'Neill's here for a year or not, I was thinking he probably wouldn't be here after the after the international break in 2 weeks. But given the excellent start he's had, I think that probably will. I hope he's here till at least till January. Assuming that things continue the way things are going just now.
Mahesh saying that Maloney, mentored by Martin O'Neill for an entire season, would make Maloney a strong candidate, say, come the summer, I think is what he's saying. Monty, quick to point out that Maloney's already stated that's not the case. Sorry to burst your bubble, Mahesh. But what Maloney said was he wasn't ready for the job. And after a season of basically being the manager with Martin O'Neill doing wisecracks in the studio and telling players their lines, he might revise that opinion of himself, don't you think?
Yeah, for sure. And I think, to be fair to Maloney, Martin O'Neill's not brought on Osmond. I mean, Martin O'Neill didn't know Osmond. He didn't know our Uruguayan left back. He didn't even know the guy's name before his first game. So these are people that Maloney's brought into the squad, and I mean, who knows? In 8 months from now, when we've won the quadruple, it's difficult not to give the job to Maloney. So maybe if we only get the treble, then we'll look somewhere else. That's my tongue.
Ampang Boy is saying there's quite a sound difference between me and David. You're louder than me. Well, shall I turn myself up a little bit? That'd be a worthwhile exercise. Just turn myself up a smidgen. Okay, up to there. Thank you, Ampang Boy, for that. It's always good to hear this feedback so that we know what's happening out there. Okay, so that's him. I saw somebody else there mentioning Bellamy, saying he's ruled it out, but he says it's not on his radar and it won't be on his radar. He's focused on the Wales job and trying to get them into the World Cup. But again, is this not one of those situations where come the summertime his position might be a bit clearer?
Yeah, I mean, if we talk about a list of top 10, I'm not sure Bellamy would get on it for me. I mean, he's doing okay for Wales by all accounts. I think he was the one who perhaps encouraged Osmond to take the contract with Celtic. But other than that, I've not seen anything that would justify him being the number one or in the top 5 or even 10 candidates. So I mean, we're not on his radar, and he's definitely not on ours. Not on mine anyway.
Cracking player for us, though. Not that should come into it, really, but
not sure. Yeah, but I mean, Robbie Keane was a brilliant player for us for half a season, and I wouldn't want him either.
Can't think of any reason why Robbie wouldn't be welcome at Celtic Park.
Surely not. Nothing to do with Tel Aviv at all. So like, no Roy Keane, no Robbie Keane. I wouldn't be particularly enamoured by Bellamy.
Yeah. Now, years ago, when you might be interested in this, given that you live in Bangkok, David, but years ago in Thailand, I remember I was like traveling around the place, and I was in Koh Chang, the Koh Chang in the Gulf.
Yeah.
And when it was probably a lot simpler than it is these days, wooden huts on the beach and all that. And I used to like play pool, the locals. And there was this one guy who was like, "What country are you from? Where you come from?" And I was like, "Oh, Ireland." And he's like, "Oh, okay," this Thai guy. And then the only thing he could tell me about Ireland was Loy Keen, Lobby Keen, Damien Dup.
Well, that's probably more than most people would have managed.
It's pretty good, Lobby Keen.
Yep.
Loy Keen, Lobby Keen. And I'm not being racist, that's how they speak, right?
Definitely. Els and
You
ours
can
are,
confirm.
for sure. Yep.
Yeah, and that was kind of the era, they were all big players at the time. That's how long ago it was. You like the look of this guy, though, don't you? Nicky Hayen, or Hayen?
For sure. Yeah, I mean, look at what Bruges achieved last night against Barcelona. 3-0. We talked again last week. I think that I think currently he's on about £1 million a year contract. So, if we're looking to get someone like him, then I would guess we'd be looking at double and trebling his salary. So and if he was able to bring a couple of these players, so much the better. But yeah, he's done a phenomenal job with with Bruges.
There's some interesting names being mentioned. Yeah, he's done well with Wales. It's just he doesn't have that much club experience, Bellamy. That's the problem with him, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we take Monty's example about what has Scotland done, Stevie Clark's are sort of, in terms of percentage-wise victories, I think he's one of our most successful managers ever. So, I mean, if we're going to follow that argument, are we going to go for Stevie Clark? Watch the Celtic meltdown after that one. If you cut and paste that for your, an exclusive, a Celtic World reveals that Stevie Clark is going to be the next manager. No, I mean, managers, Clark's not good enough, and Bellamy's done nothing to, to warrant even being on a shortlist, to be honest.
Okay. All right. Well, that's the new manager talk. A lot of sort of chat in the live chat there about whether Bellamy is going to be the inevitable option, because it doesn't involve that much work for Desmond. You might think he's lucked out again. He's stumbled upon another winning strategy. A lot of people think, of course, that he was brought in precisely for this occasion. Get him in, bed him down, get his feet under the table, get rid of Rodgers, sweeten the pill with O'Neill, and leave the fans with a yes man like Maloney, if he is a yes man. But he'll be grateful of the job, I suppose. That's the point. And he'll probably take a fair bit more shit than somebody who's coming in from another decent European club or something. Yep.
But again, if we win the treble, then it's kind of hard to argue against Maloney. Just to be clear, he would again not be in my top 5-10 picks. So, but could be a lot worse. We could be talking about Lennon's a cheap option, Bruni's a cheap option, etc. Again, it's be careful what you wish for.
All right. Well, what we do wish for is continued success for whoever's in the hot seat, and it's currently O'Neill and Maloney. So tonight is our next chance to register some success. And who are we playing tonight, David?
The bold Midjtlland. Not quite sure if I've pronounced that one correctly, if that's passed the test. But
Well, I wasn't going to test you on pronunciation. I'm going to test you on what does that mean. Do you know what it means?
Yeah, I think having taken the time to read your notes.
Oh, you've read them in the notes, for God's sake. Can't put you to the test.
Teacher's pet. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But middle of
Go on then.
middle of the Jutland or island or whatever.
Midjttland. Jutland, because this part of Denmark obviously is like a big peninsula, or a Jutland, and the central region is known as Midjtlland. Midjtlland. Brilliant, eh?
Yeah, because they came from, it was two teams that merged or something.
That's right. If we zoom in here, and you can see there in the center of your screen, formed in 1999 from the merger of two clubs, Ikast, you can see there, and Herning Fremad, who were big rivals of each other, and people, I think, were a bit upset when they merged. But then they've made this club, and they've done incredibly well. Real forward-looking club, doing really well in recent years. See, since like 2014 onwards, they're sort of winning the league every other year almost, or them and Copenhagen between them. Sort of have it sewn up, apart from 1 year there, where Brøndby slipped in. Between 2014 and 2023, the majority shareholder was Matthew Benham, owner of Brentford, which is another one of these small clubs that have used, statistics and Moneyball and all the rest to come from nowhere. I mean, the fact that Brentford are in the Premier League still astounds me. I mean, they're a small club.
But if you go back to that league table, Gav, or the list of the last 10 years, whatever, you get teams that are winning a league with 60 points, 64 points and stuff like that. It shows that the level is...
well, this is 2020, 2021. Was that year truncated?
Yeah, so even if you look at 63 points, it's at the points on the left-hand side. So it's not fantastic stuff. And I know there was comments last week or the week before, about how good Midjtlland actually are. But if you look at the teams that they've played in the Europa League just now, the team, who's it? They beat the crowd that we managed to beat last week or 2 weeks ago, and then they beat
Sturm Graz,
and then they beat, was it Maccabi Tel Aviv?
Oops. I was supposed to show that just yet.
Yeah, so Tel Aviv are 34th in the league, just on goal difference ahead of the Huns. Sturm Graz are about 30th, and then the other team that they beat is Nottingham Forest under Ange, when they were just an absolute basket case. So I think they've done well to do what they're doing, but I think they're definitely overachieving. I think also they were playing 2 nights ago against the league leaders, so I would imagine that they would be fairly sort of tired after that one. But one thing I saw when I was looking at their team, they have a fantastically named guy called Friday Etim. So I'd love to know how they come up with selecting his name, where they got the is it ETIM? I don't know if anybody ever used to watch that on a Friday. The rumour mill from Etims was always great to watch, even though it was even more pish than I talk on an average podcast. It was very amusing, but absolutely zero credibility in anybody that they were recommending or suggesting we were going to be buying.
Okay. All right. So you may have seen a picture that I showed a minute ago, and you've read your notes, David. So you're going to tell me who this is and what's his connection.
Yeah, the Bo Derek, Sviatchenko. Went from us to Midjtlland, I think, I think he went to either them or some team of Denmark and became their captain, and I think they beat us the next time they played us. He was a good player for us. I liked him.
Yeah, we bought him from there and then ultimately sent him back there. But someone we won't be sending back. Oh, I was just about to let Paul in there. He was backstage, but he didn't have the patience to wait for me to find a gap in the conversation. He's gone away again. Come back in, Paul. All is forgiven. Anyway, yes, Sviatchenko. What do we have? Eric Sviatchenko. Yeah, he was part of the Invincible season. We bought him for $1.5 million and then sold him back to them ultimately for $1 million. And as you say, he captained the team to victory against us under Ange. And he's now at Houston Dynamo. So he's no longer among their ranks. And then this is their new manager, Mike Tulberg. He's only been appointed in September. Did you know that? Quite recently.
Yeah, did not. Don't
And
know
he's
anything
come
about
through the ranks at Borussia Dortmund. So he's quite a young manager. He was at Hearts. Look at that. He was on loan at Hearts, played 7 times, scored none as a striker. And another man who's firing blanks, as in not appearing when they should, is this man. Hello, Paolo.
Hey.
Good evening. Apologies, team. It's been quite a week, so yeah, I forgot about the time change. Was in the office today, not my usual working from home arrangement. So yeah, not great. And then I went and cut myself prepping dinner, so that's not ideal either. Apologies, chaps.
Look at Kaiser suggesting you're too famous now, running about on other people's channels, live and all sorts. Standing next to Hamish, like a pair of bouncers, you two. I thought he'd hired some, big strong men to flank him.
We were sat. We were seated. There was no standing.
Oh, you were seated, were you?
Yeah. No, we were in a little snug in the turf in where the Melbourne number one. So yeah, little sneaky, little snug, a couple of pints.
You sitting in a snug with Hamish? That's just a dream come true for you, Paul.
Well, taking some bucket list items on the old podcasting circuit. But yeah, it's nice to be back. And sorry, I am late. That was it's been a shambles of a week.
There seems to be a groundswell of opinion thinking you're getting too big for your boots here, Paul. Oh no, he's talking about your cut finger. That's
talking about this. I should have gone this way and not that way. So apologies.
Okay. Well, picking up where we're talking about the manager of Midjtlland, Toulman, and he's come through the ranks at Borussia Dortmund. And I noticed during his playing career, he started managing the under-19s of this team in Germany. Check out their badge. Yeah. Pretty good, isn't it?
Decent
Oberhausen. Are you familiar with Oberhausen, Paul?
I am not. I'm guessing they might be in the Rhineland, though, from that abbreviation. I might be wrong.
Very good. Look at that. Picking up on things. Yeah, deadly at set pieces, says Mahesh.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they are. They're strong emphasis on youth development, very focused on set pieces. Again, this data-driven approach has been a massive part of the success. But apparently the new manager's a bit more keen to add goals from open play, not be too reliant on that. Where do they stand in the league? Ta-da! Second to AGF. Do you know who AGF are? Anybody?
Aarhus.
Aarhus, yeah. What used to be Aarhus, is it?
I think that's the place. That's the place that's in the middle of our street. Is that?
That was the joke I was going to make. Aarhus in the middle of our screen. Stop. I didn't even put that in the notes, David. I'm not sure whether to be pleased that you're making jokes on my level or depressed that I'm making jokes on yours. Which
probably the latter. Probably the latter, I would think.
Yeah, so they're second in the table. Look at their form there. Lots of wins. Drew just recently against Aarhus.
Two days ago. Yeah. They played.
Paul, we were talking earlier about their form so far in the Europa League. 3 games, 3 wins, +6 of a goal difference, 9 points. That's impressive. But are there any asterisks to go with that? Like David was saying, look, the guys they've played have not been great teams, really.
Well, they beat Forest, and yeah, they struggled under Ange, but that's a side that was flying high last season. They've got good players. They break at pace. They do score goals from open play. They rip Forest apart for at least one of their goals. They also are a massive threat, as we've talked about, from set pieces. Until everything changed at Celtic a week and a half ago, I was extremely worried about this. I still don't. I think anything we get from this game is a good result. If we can come out of this game with a draw, that's a good result. Anything beyond that is excellent. But it still wouldn't surprise me if they sort of shade it over there. They're very strong at home, and yeah, I'm still not 100% sure on our set pieces. Although, assuming Trusty and Scales play, they did a sterling job at Atalanta last season, so maybe they can replicate that.
I have to say, I preferred Obelix as well, McLaughlin P. He was more my cup of tea than Asterisk is too small. Oh, sorry, I don't want to get into height again, but I related more to Obelix, and the older I get, and the more fond I become of the elasticated waistband, Obelix is even more of a hero of mine. But I used to enjoy reading those. They were good, Asterix and Obelix. All right, so what else did we come across? So I'll show you this. This is like their stats of their main performers. I don't know if you saw the Celtic way. John was chatting to a Danish fan and asking him all about the players. Like, who could he single out? First one he went for was this Francolino, the main danger man. He's likely to be off to one of the big leagues at the end of this season. As you can see, he's the top scorer, and he's also got a few assists. The wingers, Osorio and Simsir, that you see over here, in second place in goals, and then first and second in assists. A lot of their attacking success comes from the wings, by the looks of it. And also a guy called Philip Billing, who's their metronome, was also mentioned. And of course they've got Cho. Cho plays for them. Cho, who we thought we were getting before we got O. And then, Ange told us, O was always my first choice. And then he's down in England saying, oh, Cho, yeah, I tried to buy him for Celtic. So, what do you make of that, David? Was it O or was it Cho, as the song goes? Tell me, is it Cho or it's O? Oh, yes, it's definitely O.
I know nothing about Cho, I must admit. I was looking in their team sheet. They looked like something out of a sort of K-pop band. But, nope, don't know a thing about them.
People are loving the Obelix chat. Asterix and Obelix. Dogmatics. Sorry, you go ahead, Paul.
I was just going to say, I thought that little preamble with the O or Cho was going to be you leading us into one of the greatest hits, but apparently not. Disappointing.
Well, it's a bit of a tenuous link saying we're playing against a team with a guy called Cho who isn't O, and here's a song about O.
Well, any excuse to use the classics, the vault.
To shoehorn them in.
Why not?
Mahesh said we should have kept O given the Ida debacle. But, hindsight and all that. What do they say about hindsight?
Something about it being 2020.
2020. All right, so those are the players. This is how they lined up against Forest, 3-4-3. A couple of the main guys missing there. No sign of your E-Tims. David, apparently they have a player called E-Tims or E-Tim. Paul, did you know that?
Friday E-Tim. Yep.
Which sounds like a regular feature.
I did not know that. No, I'll be honest. We've come to the evening, as it is in Australia, of the game, which will be tomorrow morning, and I'm still recovering from the weekend. So, yeah, I'm not sure I'm ready to be getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning or whatever time it's going to kick off, but I will be.
wonder why Monty's saying Ralph Malf. That got to do with anything? Funny names? I don't know. Hard to look inside the mind of Monty. Well, look, we're rattling through things here quite quickly. Watching games in the morning, fair play. Let's talk about that. You're both going to watch this game live again?
Yeah, I will. I think I didn't watch the Storm Graz game live. I got up and watched it as live from sort of the equivalent of halftime because I was particularly disillusioned with things at that point and fancied an extra hour in my bed. But yeah, I was up sort of. Well, I was on my way to the airport for the Falkirk game, so I watched that kind of in an Uber going through security in departures, and then I finished it on the runway prior to actually taking off. So yeah, I got up for that, and I was up anyway, but I would have got up for that. And then yeah, it was a 1 a.m. kickoff, the cup final in Melbourne.
The air steward's telling you to put your phone away. We're about to take off. You're like, look, the game's nearly over. Just leave me alone.
Nobody did actually, and I forgot. I was very naughty because we were literally pulling up off the tarmac before the final whistle went, and I hadn't switched it to airplane mode. So clearly, that's a nonsense that it interferes with planes. So you carry on.
Because you survived, you were prepared to take that risk to test the theory.
I was just so engrossed in the game, I completely forgot.
Yeah, of course, that's nonsense. That whole thing.
Yeah.
Ralph Malf from E. Tim's Diary. People are saying, does anyone know what that is? Is that to do with the podcast, E. Tim's?
I would say so.
I'm not familiar with it, I have to say.
I think E. Tim started life as like a message board, did it not? Many moons ago.
The rumor mill was really funny. More often than not, it was good.
Ralph Malf was, of course, a character in Happy Days. We're all fans of Happy Days. Richie Rich and the Fawns. Arthur Fonzarella. He was cool, obviously. What's Fonzie?
Hey. No, yeah. It's I think it was one of those shows that was just kind of on at tea time, wasn't it, when you were growing up? So you just kind of ended up watching it.
Yeah, and Joni Loves Chachi. Always quite liked Joni, but then looking back on it, Joni wasn't a classic beauty, was she?
Had no idea what she. This is what we call padding. This is padding. Yeah, I can't remember what she looked like. I know they obviously remember the names, but couldn't tell you what she looked like.
All right. Okay, sorry, we're getting a bit too distracted. Let's see where we are in the chat. I mean, in the run sheet. Okay, let's talk about our team. Who's going to play? Well, you've probably all seen and digested this news. In fact, I think you sent this to me, Paul, did you?
Yeah, I put it on the chat.
That this move has been confirmed that he is replacing CCV in the list. That list is then valid until the knockout stages. Is that correct?
I think so, at least.
And then it needs to be revised.
I think it can be revised at the knockouts. So, yeah, I think you got options to bring. Is it 1 in and 1 out, or 2 in and 2 out, something like that? Interesting thing about this is it, even before it happened, the only people that seemed to know that it was a possibility was fan media. Mainstream media, hopeless again. Like people going, "Oh, he's had a great cameo, scored another goal. That's all great. Unfortunately, he's not going to be able to play on Thursday night." And then immediately, almost, fan media are coming out going, there is an opportunity that you could play on Thursday because there is an opportunity in these early stages that you can swap a player. It's like, why do the mainstream media not know that? It's just absolute amateur hour. So, yeah, it's good news. It's good news for him. It's good news for us. We're obviously light on if Iheanacho is still injured, which I assume he is. And yeah, it gives us a rotation option off the bench for John Kenny.
Or as Ryan118 calls him, Brian, Iheanacho.
Iheanacho.
Why does he do that? He's really going out of his way to say it in a funny manner. David, is he not?
Yeah, but I don't know if Iheanacho's, if he'll be finished now that now we've got Kenny and Osmond, sort of hopefully firing on some cylinders. I think he was good. I think we needed somebody. I don't know if we've ever seen him at his full fitness, but now that we've got Kenny, who's, I think he has to start. I would certainly start him, having Osmond on for the last half hour. I think we've got good options now, relatively good options on the bench. I think we could look at, again, Forrest coming on for half an hour, Tierney coming on for half an hour. Potentially I think the squad is looking a lot better than it was 10 days ago.
There's always the possibility later in the season of Iheanacho playing with one of the two young nippy boys.
Mm-hmm.
It's the kind of thing you could imagine might be put into play, which would never have happened under Rodgers. But Rodgers is no more. Same team as Sunday, says Jerry Smith. You reckon that's the case, Paul?
Possibly. Good chance. I think if there's one change to be made, I think Katie played really well when he came on. And there's a good... he'd be a reasonable shout to start. But Sirachi was excellent as well. So it's nice to have the option. I think you'll see both of them during the game. But if there's one potential... assuming everyone's fit, of course, but if there's one potential to, swap, then I think KT might have forced himself into the starting lineup. Great assist for Osmond's goal and some good rampaging runs prior to that as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So do we want to come up with any score predictions or anything? Anyone fancy a score prediction?
3-1 Celtic.
I mean, an away victory would be a superb result for us, I think. But it's not beyond the realms of possibility. Like as David was saying before you come in, Paul, this is a good side, but, we shouldn't get too carried away. They're not European royalty or anything. It's the kind of club we should be able to take on, home or away.
Yeah, I think we should be competitive. We'll certainly be competitive. I think we'll be competitive, and way more so than we would have been if nothing had changed. I think there's a pretty good chance we'd have got a bit of a doing if it had been as you are. But as it stands, I think it could be a bit of a coin. I'd take a draw, to be honest. It might be a score and draw, But if we start as well as we did against those lot, and we take our chances, which we didn't really against them, then yeah, we could potentially get an away win. It'd be a brilliant result to win away, and would really sort of kickstart the qualification. Because if we don't at least get something from this, I think it's massively in the balance of whether we can get out of the group.
Well, the chat has gone off on a slight tangent there, talking about Chewbacca's genitals, what they might be composed of. So maybe look at what Ampang Boy says here about that four-leaf clover that we pointed out from Oberhausen. Has been used in Europe for centuries and is not an exclusively Irish symbol. No, I mean, the shamrock is the Irish thing. Because St. Patrick, don't you know, plucked it from the ground to teach the pagan Irish about the Holy Trinity. So the four-leaf clover was always a symbol of luck, more than Ireland, wasn't it? But then luck, Ireland, the shamrock. I'm not quite sure how that all fits together. Anyone know the four-leaf clover? Not for Celtic especially, but is Ampang Boy on the money?
Oh yeah, well, I'm assuming the 4 and the 3 kind of got interwoven at some point, and sort of the Irish connection went from there. But
yes, indeed,
that's just a stab in the dark. But somebody will no doubt know.
All right. What about potential new signings? I don't know if you saw this. You probably did. You're probably all over it. Talk of us signing the guy from Kilmarnock. I don't have the link for that.
David Watson.
David Watson.
Yeah. I have to confess, I don't know much about that guy.
He's the kid that scored He's the kid that scored the header against us earlier in the season?
David, what can you tell me about Watson?
I saw he scored a cracking goal a couple of weeks ago. So I think they called it a lung-bursting run. Attacking midfielder. I think he's got 1 year left in his contract, so it'd be fairly cheap. He would fill the homegrown quota. I think it's called the 3 numpties rule. I think probably get him for $1 million. And if he turns out as well as McCowan has done, then it's hardly a gamble, is it?
I think he's got a higher ceiling than Luke McCowan. Actually, I really like this kid as a player. I think he's only in his early 20s. I think 21, 22, and he's been in that team for what feels like an age, like a good probably at least 3 seasons. So he broke through as a teenager. I've always been impressed with him. He's played in a mix of positions in midfield. He plays attacking, he plays box to box, he can sit deeper. I've seen him play on the right and even towards fullback. I think he'd be a really good squad player. And yeah, you get him in amongst better players, you never know where his ceiling could take him. So I think I'd be surprised even with a year on his contract we get him for £1 million. But if it's anywhere, even if it's double that, I think it's a good investment. And I've seen him previously linked with the other lot, so I actually thought that would be a good signing for them and hoped it wouldn't happen. So I think if we are interested, then follow through on that, make it happen. And yeah, we will undoubtedly have midfielders leaving. If not this next window, then certainly in the summer. So it makes sense to shore up the midfield.
Okay. Right, well, we're coming up on 52 minutes, and I thought I'd play you this little treat. Paul, you're a music fan, and we all are music fans. We love the connection, don't we, between football and music? So the two go hand in hand, don't they? Young men in the suburbs, in the downtown, inner cities, all across various countries. Two things that, unite youth culture. And I saw this brilliant thing, I thought it was brilliant anyway, on Twitter at Coventry City's ground. If that rings a bell, you might know what I'm talking about. They had a local band playing before their game, and this is it. I don't know about you, and unlike lots of people in the comments, I thought that was brilliant. Huh?
Yeah, well, they're local lads, right? And that's the biggest. That was the biggest hit, and it's a bit of an anthem anyway. So yeah, I thought it was class. Fireworks were a wee bit much, right? What was the occasion? What was it, like a derby match or something? I don't know.
I'm not sure what the game was, but I thought it was just a nice marriage of, a local band and the people and all the crowd singing along to it. No, it must have been really nice to be part of that. David, does that send shivers down your spine?
It is actually, for all the wrong reasons. I actually thought you were showing that one so that maybe you were advertising yourself for a future Celtic game with the disco lights. Because your singing wasn't any worse than that. I think the first 10 seconds when they were tuning their guitar. How long is this one going to go?
Behind that idea.
Yeah. Definitely.
Can you imagine the abuse I would get if I went out and started trying to give it one of the Celtic karaoke's?
Surely not.
Well, Mahesh is enjoying it. Yeah, I thought it was good. Really, really good. 420 said, watched the last full stream back and caught the 2 songs. Yeah, that was a bit of a special treat just for you, 420. You're one of the die-hard fans, Paul,
Well, that's what we started. We started.
You can't get enough Daniel O'Donnell.
Paul, what were you going to say?
I was just saying that's how we started, with a bit of frivolity and a bit of general nonsense, and we got a bit more serious over time. But nice to roll out the old the classics here and there. Not much in the way of new material coming from the vault recently.
There's not. Yeah, I know. Well, there was only really. Well, there's a couple of new ones. There was Alistair Johnson, which was the Undertones, wasn't it? Oh no, SLF, Stiff Little Fingers. And then there was Trusty, not Trusty, Engels to Fun Boy 3. But I was just having a look. That's what that was. Our Lips Are Sealed, which of course ties in with the specials and Coventry.
Indeed.
So, nice little.
Lovely segue.
One of those. Well, I was just looking at the folder the other day and like seeing some, of the germs of ideas, that I had. I've saved a few things, but nothing's really jumping out at me. I mean, I kind of want to do one for Negrin, but that's a tough one. Negrin.
You'll be able to squeeze in something about, just go with Benji, and then you can squeeze in something about his Balding, because that you've got an affinity there anyway. So I surely to roll off the tongue a trait. I don't know.
But that's all we have time for, being insulted now by people in the studio. Dare you. Yeah, but maybe if the Callum Osmond mania continues for any length of time, that'll probably qualify for one. But, you would have to expect that to subside a bit. And the more we see of him, maybe, we see the shortcomings in his game a bit more or something. I don't want to pour cold water on that, because it is awesome at the moment. And hopefully it goes the complete opposite way. And he's so good that we just play him every week. And we have a young teenage wonder kid striker on our hands. That'd be great, wouldn't it?
Well, absolutely. And I look, the potential's there. Balak Wisha surely got you. There's surely some potential with. Probably more potential for a song than the actual playing performances. So I don't know. There's a bit of humour in there potentially for you.
Kaiser's pretty close with my thoughts on that. I was going to go for an Aber Classic because he's Swedish. Anyway.
Teenage Kicks for Osmond, I guess.
Yeah.
Have you done a Teenage Kicks version?
No, we did do the Undertones. What was the other Undertones one?
I can't remember all the classics you come up.
What's the Undertones one? It must have been Teenage Kicks.
Must have been, yeah. I think it does ring a bell, but I don't always think that the connections to the players are necessarily.
No, it was Jimmy Jimmy. It was Kieran Tierney to the tune of Jimmy Jimmy. Kieran Tierney, oh. All right, look, we're beginning to ramble. We've gone over the hour. Somebody made a funny comment there, which I'll just go out with. Smeller Glove said he thought insults is what makes this podcast. So there's another little quote for our Edinburgh poster, or for, our epitaph. Insults is what makes this podcast. What do you think about that, David?
Also, I just wanted to say thanks to Smell the Glove for his comments about Clatty Bats, which was one of the poshest. If you don't go to posh nightclubs, it was a cracking place, sort of for drinking from sort of 1 a.m. till about 4 a.m. Cracking. So thank you
Sounds
for
classy.
That was very classy, definitely.
Hail, hail, troops. Enjoy tonight. Come on the Celtic. Great show, lads. All right, let's close it with that sentiment. Come on the Celtic. Hopefully we'll have a positive result, and then next time we're back, we'll be enthusiastically going over that game and all our amazing goals. All right, lads, thank you for joining us, if a little belatedly from Paul, but good that you made it. Don't worry about it. Hope your finger heals better. Until next time, everyone. Hail, hail.
Hail, hail, folks. Cheers.
Instead of this settling for mediocre, imagine what we could be.